Hello and welcome to Drafting Motherhood. Today's episode is the first in a brand new series I like to call the Village Draft. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're here drafting your own motherhood. This episode is completely comprised of your anonymous email submissions. That's right. We're going to be talking about the stories you've shared, the wonderful advice you've given, the burning questions you have. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about each one as we go. Now, I couldn't get to everyone's email. That would be a really long episode, and I don't think you guys would listen to it. So, kind of categorized it in a few different ways. We'll walk through it together, but just be prepared. You're probably going to laugh. You're going to cry, but most of all, you're going to listen because you're here and this is a podcast and that's what that's for. Okay? Without further ado, I'm going to go into one of the funniest stories I've ever read, and it makes me giggle every time I read it. So I'm really excited to get into it. Okay. Also, I'm going to be reading these in their entirety. I am not going to be paraphrasing anything. I want you guys to step into the shoes of each mom that is sharing these stories, this advice, whatever they've got. Close your eyes, pretend you're them for a minute, all right? We are now this mom. When I was a brand new mom, I only had my first son. I put him down for a nap in my bedroom and figured I'd use that time to vacuum. About 20 minutes later, I hear a knock at the door. It startled me. I almost didn't open it. But when I did, there was an elderly man standing there holding my son, asking, "Is this yours?" The panic I felt in that moment. My heart dropped to the floor. I couldn't even process how it happened. Turns out it was my neighbor. He had seen my son just casually walking out of my house. My son was probably about a year and a half old. The only thing I can figure is that when I laid him down, he never actually went to sleep. He must have gotten up, gone through the Jack and Jill bathroom, and slipped out behind me. And I didn't hear a thing because I was vacuuming. I've had a lot of mom fails like we all do, but that one takes the cake for rookie year. It also taught me so much. You can't hear everything. You can't see everything. And sometimes kids move faster than your brain can even process. It doesn't make you a bad mom. It just makes you human. Oh, that's such a good one. And it's so true because we all mess up. It happens, whether it's something small or it's someone else bringing you your child, the thing that you made that you're supposed to be watching, and then you're like, oh my God. Yeah, that's happened for sure. If it hasn't happened to you yet, this is one of those moments I'm going to say, just wait. No. Maybe you don't. Maybe you always have eyes on your kid. And for that, I say congratulations. Please let me know of the optometrist you go to. I need a stronger prescription because I can't move my eyes that fast. My second one, oh my God. I think I was really blessed with my first one. I say that. She was clingy, but I always knew right where she was. My second one, she's sneaky. We don't know where she's at. She's into something. So sometimes we don't get it all right. Sometimes we don't have eyes on them at all times. And yeah, it would be super cool if somebody had all the answers and they gave us a book and said, just do all this and you'll be a great parent. But that's not how it works. But we all are walking very different journeys. So along the way, we have our own advice that we know works with our kids. And you guys have submitted some of your parenting advice to me. And so I've put together some of my favorites. And I gotta say, these all made me laugh. They're good though. They're smart and they're also things that I've done myself. So if you have not done these, I encourage you to try them. This first one says, being silly and pretending to be any animal thing to get your kids to do something usually works way better than demanding. The amount of times I've been a chicken, a robot, a moose, etc., just to avoid a power struggle is unmatched. Another mom said, "My older child could survive on air and vibes if she wanted." Mhm. Yep, I get that. One of the only ways she'll sit and actually eat her food in front of a TV, watching Bluey. Girls gotta eat. Listen, there are worse things they could be watching, all right? We are a house that loves Bluey, especially with two girls. Oh my gosh, they pretend to be Bluey and Bingo all the time. We did that for Halloween one year. We were all mom, dad, Bluey, Bingo. Yeah, it's a great show. It really is. And if you haven't watched it at this point, why? I mean, if you have older kids, I guess. But even if you do, check out some clips yourself. If you want to heal some inner child inside you, go watch Bluey. If you, go watch Granddad, specifically the last 30 seconds of Granddad. That one makes me cry every time. And they don't even say anything. They say like one line. Chili says, "That was a long time ago." And then she leans her head on his shoulder. And he says, "No, it was yesterday." And then it morphs into Chili being a little little girl. So sweet. I love that one so much. Okay, moving on to the last parenting advice that I thoroughly enjoyed. When I get overstimulated, which happens a lot in a house full of boys, and they're all fighting and I can't get them to settle down, I call a timeout. I act very serious and upset, like I mean business. But low key, I have a plan. I sit them all on the couch and tell them they're not allowed to get up. And then I put on a movie for myself. But really, it's just a kid friendly Disney movie I know they'll get sucked into. And like magic, I suddenly have three still, quiet kids who are actually relaxing. And the bonus, they tend to rewatch the same shows over and over, so I use this as my chance to introduce something new I know they'll love, but wouldn't pick themselves. It works every time. I've done this multiple times. I'm gonna be honest, that's exactly how I got my kids into High School Musical. I know it's a weird thing. They're 4 and 2, and now my oldest daughter, the obsession with Troy Bolton. The lore's gotten deep, okay? This one actually is very fun. I need you guys to know this. For her birthday, I thought it would be cool to print out a poster. Okay, so I went on Canva and I made like a High School Musical poster, but she only really liked Troy and Gabriella. Those are her favorites. So I just put pictures of Troy and Gabriella in there. Printed the poster out at Walmart. She absolutely loves it. My husband's cousin finds out that she loves Troy Bolton. So what does she do? She prints out a picture of Troy, puts it in an envelope, and then a second photo of him where she has written a very special note, and it says that a little birdie told me it was your birthday. Happy belated birthday all the way from Hollywood. Love, Troy Bolton. And it's got a signature on it too. His signature. Oh, as soon as I saw it, I was like, you know what? This is going to be something that she's either going to find really funny in a few years or she's going to be talking about in therapy in like 15. I really hope it's the former. If this is something we got to talk out, I get it. But for now, it is kind of funny. I didn't know that she was going to get this attached to the characters, but even my husband's like, honey, we might be taking it a little bit too far. I know. I agree. I think that's where the line is. We don't go any further than that. But the thing is, we all do these things for our kids to make them happy. And sometimes when there's absolutely no making them happy, you pretend to be a moose, or you turn on Bluey so they'll eat their dinner, or you just put on a movie that you think they might watch and then it turns into an obsession. But the thing is, in those moments, every mom is just choosing peace. Whatever their moment is looking like, they are trying to choose peace. And another thing that helps bring moms peace is self care or self care practices. Sometimes they look very similar, Sometimes they look very different. And so I put together some of my favorite self care practices that you guys sent into the show. And the first one here says time out of the house with a friend for a low key mom's night or hangout. Connection, connection, connection. A bath and a face mask at the end of the day, and a trashy reality TV show on rotation. Prioritizing small daily activities, workout or yoga, reading, journaling, nighttime stretch, and meditating. This mom also said, I love to read. Find a hobby just for you. Take time with friends, talking, eating, wine nights. You need adult interaction. Alone time is everything. One of my favorite underrated things to do is to go to a movie by myself, like a random quiet Tuesday matinee. Bring a blanket, sneak in your favorite snack. It's so peaceful. It's kind of like walking around Marshall's and picking up things just to put them back down, but for your brain. No pressure, just you time. And my personal favorite advice was one that I have not done yet. I might, I don't know, but I laughed out loud when I read it. This mom says Botox. I can't stress my love enough. Get all the treatments your wallet can take. I'm going to age swinging. I love that, girlfriend. You know what? If it works for you, it works. But at the end of the day, no matter what your self care looks like, it is something we all need. Yes, a need. It is not a want. It is not a let me go on vacation. Those kind of resets are a want, but simply taking a bath or reading a chapter of your book or going and putting your bare feet in the grass for a few minutes is self care. We all have that time in the day, okay? And the reason that we all know how important self care is because we know what it's like when we're not taking care of ourselves. Or in some moments when we can't take care of ourselves. There is a human that needs our attention 25/8. It's understandable to get a little lost in the sauce. And so, in this segment, I like to call it How to Remember Me After Becoming Mom. And this listener says, the beginning of motherhood was an absolute blur. My firstborn was colic and breastfed for a year. My second was a Velcro baby and breastfed for 2.5 years. Both delivered by C section and no help from family or my piece of shit ex husband. I know that's right. Fuck him. For the first 5 years of my kid's life, it was diapers, feedings, playing, messes, sleepless nights to wake up and do it all over again, like I was in the Twilight Zone. Kids grow out of phases, and you learn to overcome something new and challenging. Now that I have 2 kids in double digits, they're more independent, and I find myself caring for me more. I lost myself in motherhood. I was a hot mess and a walking zombie, but I had 2 beautiful, loved children. Now I find myself choosing me more, caring about my health, my looks, my wants. It's a wonderful feeling. I still have mom guilt and hope I'm creating a beautiful childhood for them and not leaving lasting scars or trauma from ignorance. To the moms who are in the middle of their messes, I promise, it gets better. Another mom says, reconnecting with some of my old hobbies has been huge for me. I used to be a big runner, and I've gotten back into it. I forgot how much I love the grind and the feeling after. I also signed up for 2 5Ks coming up, so I have something to train for and look forward to. Another hobby I've been getting back into is hiking. I'm figuring out how to do this with my kids and family, as well as on my own. Nature has always been a restorative place for me, and I love getting to experience it with my littles. I will say, I think I struggled initially with prioritizing this time for my own hobbies. But now that I am, it 100% makes me a better mom and wife. The thing that I loved about both of these stories is they both recognized that things had changed in motherhood. And we can try as we might to bounce back. I hate that phrase. I think we need to get that bullshit out of our mind. There is no bouncing back when it comes to our physical appearance. We can only leap forward when we're ready, okay? But when it comes to mentally and emotionally, we can't really ever fully return to the people that we were before becoming a mom. Like, still, we still have all of our same qualities about us, whether it's our humor, confidence, charisma, whatever it is, those things are just dwindled. And it's up to your children's journey and also your journey to decide when to start pouring into those things again and bringing them back to the surface. And like our first mom says, she lost herself in motherhood because it was that twilight zone, the same thing every single day. And I get it. When these little humans need you for every single thing, yeah, we can't add time to the day. You just can't. And so if you can't fit anything in there, sometimes you just don't get to it. But all of us do have 2 minutes here and there, whether it's just to notice if we're clenching our jaw, to relax our shoulders, if we have a couple minutes to step outside real quick and just put our toes in the grass, do those grounding techniques. Eventually, as they grow and we start growing and we start saying, you know what, I'm ready to start pouring into those other parts of me that need to come out again, you're pouring in a different version of yourself. So I like to think of it as these buckets. And when you become a mom and you don't have any time and you're just exhausted, honestly, they start to kind of like simmer down. They're like pots on the stove, okay? They're simmering down. And now we're not putting like tap water back into the pots. Because we've changed chemically and mentally and emotionally and all of these things, now we're putting in this filtered water, right? It's a different version. It's still the same us, it's just a different version. So, as we're refilling these pots with this different water, we're recognizing that there is an identity shift. There still are same great qualities that we know about ourselves, but now they just shine a little bit differently, and that's okay. And so I had some different submissions specifically surrounding identity shifts. And this mom says, after I had my first baby, I had to go back to work full time, reduced from 40 weeks to 32 weeks, but still full time. It was rough. I wasn't ready to go back, and I didn't really want to, honestly. It was a huge identity shift, as I had always loved my job and I had a ton of pride in it, but now I couldn't stand the idea of being away from my baby. Lots of tears and new routines later, we figured out a new normal. The balancing act ebbed and flowed because although I had an extremely supportive boss and a very helpful husband, I always felt like if I had to give more to my baby, then I had to give less to my job and my patients and vice versa. Another difficult point for me was I had to pour so much to my patients and their family that I didn't have a ton to pour into my own family. I briefly worked part time after my second baby, and the balance of that schedule also came with its own challenges. Luckily, I was able to fully transition home and out of the clinic, which was when I finally felt like I had the capacity to really focus on my kids and my family like I wanted. I'm fully embracing my power pause. Strongly recommend this book by Neha Ruch, I believe, Ruch. And no, my career will always be there for me to go back to once the time is right. Another mom says, I think my creative spark really came back when I decided to go back to college. It was the first time in a long time that I chose myself again. Motherhood is everything to me. I love my kids more than anything, but I had definitely lost parts of who I was along the way. Going back to school gave me permission to be a little selfish in a healthy way and reconnect with what I'm passionate about. Now I feel like I'm finally finding a balance between being a mom and being me. These stories give so much hope to whoever is listening. And if you're a new mom, or even if you're a seasoned mom and you're working and you're trying to figure out, oh my God, how do I balance this? Knowing that you will find the right timing for you and your family, it will happen. No one knows the answer, and that's okay. Only time will tell. And sometimes it takes you on a beautiful journey that you didn't even expect. What if you going home catapults you into starting college like this listener? What if it starts you in a completely different career or in a different job title that you never thought you would be able to do, but here you are? Or what if it catapults you into writing children's books, something you never thought of doing in your entire life, or starting a podcast when just a few months ago I didn't know a single thing about it. I just went out one day and bought a microphone. There's hope in knowing that even in these identity shifts, we can still find ourselves. We can still continue to love our kids and still show up for them in the best way possible. Because at the end of the day, that's the whole point of this, right? When we're talking about finding the best version of ourselves and self care practices, don't get me wrong. I am not like, motherhood is so hard. We need to think about the mamas. Like, yeah, for sure. But for why? Because we want to be the best version for our kids. At the end of the day, that is what they deserve. They deserve the bare minimum of us being healthy so we can love them fully and they can have a beautiful childhood. And then they grow up and then they want to be in our lives. And we get to love on them forever because this title is forever. We just graduate to grandma and great grandma and all these other things. But if we do it right, we get to stay in their lives forever. I got a heartbreaking email from a listener that even she submitted it through my website, which is impressive. I hadn't had someone do that yet. And so she even had a fake email that I couldn't, respond to. And maybe she wanted it that way. And that's fine because this is a tough question. And the question was, what about the mothers who are learning through being a mother how easy it is to love your child? I knew I was in an abusive family for a long time. It shaped everything about me. I can't maintain friendships well in my 30s because of it. I hardly speak to my family. I feel guilt because they are alive. However, when I hold my child in my arms, I grieve for the child I once was. How could my own mother not love me? How could she keep having more of us? How could she have favorites? Love is multiplied, not divided. Does this resonate with others? I feel so alone. Uh, to whoever you are out there listening, I feel like I could have written this. So, I feel your pain, sister. And I think it's okay to grieve that little girl that didn't get what she deserved, the bare minimum of unconditional love. And I don't think it's ever something that's going to fully go away. I think that pain, that little bit of pain or just never understanding is what makes us human. I'm not saying hold on to the negative traits of that knowing, that shame or anger or overwhelming sadness, because it sounds like if you're having a hard time maintaining friendships, that it might be time to step out of the feeling of knowing that you didn't get those things and you deserved it. There's a lot of feeling that's attached to that. And once you're able to step outside of the feeling and look at that as a fact and say, yes, that is what happened. It is. And sometimes it is sad. But it's that knowing sadness. I know that this is sad, but I'm not feeling it in my body. It's not sitting in my chest. It's not swimming around in my head. I really hope that makes sense because that is exactly what EMDR therapy did for me. It made me look at the instance, feel all of the feelings that were associated with whatever it was, and then to be able to step outside of the door. So, for instance, through one of my more traumatic sessions that we were going through, I had this image of my adult self going into the scene and picking up the smaller self and walking away with it. It was me. It wasn't an it. It was younger me. And so when I came out of that, I realized that I wasn't holding my child. It was me. I was saving me. I was protecting me. I was loving me. Because I think when we focus too much on our child, we're still ignoring what happened to us. And so there's always going to be that really sad little girl inside of us that's like, damn it, why couldn't I get that? And when we can turn that into a, yep, I didn't get that, but I'm going to carry this little version of me out of here. I'm going to love you. I'm going to protect you. There's nothing wrong with you. Just speaking that positivity into that little version of you. Man, when I tell you that session truly was life-changing. It felt like I was breaking through this ceiling that I had been in for like 29 years. Um, and it really did change everything. And so I'm so sorry if you're listening. I'm so sorry that you're feeling this way. I hope that you can resonate with some of the things that I just said. Again, this is not professional advice. This is my experience with EMDR therapy. I still highly recommend everyone get a therapist. And if you have trauma, go through EMDR. It literally changed my life. It's just one of those things you gotta be ready to face it because it's tough. I tried to start EMDR 2 years ago, I think, and we scratched a surface. And she was like, "Okay, so I was wondering when you wanted to dive into this." And I was like, nope, not ready for that yet." And I don't know. It was just one day about 6 months ago, 8 months ago. I was like, "Yeah, I guess I'm ready to tackle this. I got to do it at some time." Man, I'm so glad I did. So, to end this, I want to share a quote that was from another mom in her email. And it says, "We are parenting in ways no one modeled for us, while simultaneously healing our own childhood wounds. Breaking generational trauma is no easy feat. Give yourself grace, allow yourself time to heal, and keep showing up." And with that, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I'm very much looking forward to making another awesome one with all new topics, all new parenting advice, self-care practice ideas. I want each and every one of your stories to be a part of the village draft. Thank you so much for listening. Let's keep talking.